Picture reaching for your daily blood pressure pill, a lifeline for your health, only to learn it's a fake, swapped by your own children with intent to harm. I'm Dorothy, and when my pharmacist tested my medication, I uncovered a web of infidelity and betrayal that tore my family apart. An affair and a chilling plot to seize my assets pushed me to fight back. Join me as I unravel a story of deceit, revenge, and the strength to stand tall. This tale of family treachery will grip you, and you won't believe what unfolds next. I'm 65, a retired elementary school teacher living in a small town in Wisconsin. My home is a charming two-story house with a wide porch, a vibrant garden, and a dining room that's hosted decades of family gatherings. This is where I've poured my heart into Sunday suppers, filling the air with the aroma of pot roast and love. My son, Daniel, 40, is a driven real estate agent with a warm smile that hides secrets. My daughter, Susan, 38, is a meticulous accountant, always loyal. Or so I believed. Together, we've been a family, bound by memories in this quiet corner of the world. Daniel's wife, Vanessa, 35, is a stylish interior designer who joined our family with a dazzling charm that started to feel hollow. My best friend, Lorraine, 62, a retired librarian with a razor-sharp mind, is a constant at my table, her wit keeping us grounded. Lately, I've noticed Daniel and Susan acting strange, whispering when they think I'm not watching, their eyes flickering as I take my daily blood pressure pills. I've managed my hypertension for years, relying on those pills to stay healthy. But this spring, something felt wrong, and the warmth of our gatherings began to fade. It started with subtle shifts. Daniel grew distant, claiming late nights at work, dodging my questions about his life with vague excuses. Susan was nervous, constantly checking her phone. Her laughter strained during our family dinners. Vanessa was colder, her smiles tight, often slipping outside for hushed phone calls. Lorraine was the first to speak up, whispering over tea at her library that my kids were hiding something dark. I dismissed it, not wanting to suspect my own children of deceit. But doubts crept in when I started feeling dizzy and weak, symptoms my medication should have controlled, making me question its reliability. Then came the moment that changed everything. I noticed my pill bottle looked odd, the tablet slightly different in shape and hue. My teaching instincts, honed from years of noticing details, told me something was amiss. I took the bottle to my pharmacist, Carl, a trusted friend who'd filled my prescriptions for years. He ran tests, and his findings hit like a sledgehammer. The pills were fakes, containing no active ingredient, just inert fillers. Someone had deliberately swapped them. And the only people with access to my medication were Daniel, Susan, and Vanessa, who frequently visited my home. That night, sleep eluded me. The fake pills, my children's secretive behavior, and my worsening symptoms churned in my mind. I checked Daniel's phone while he and Vanessa were over, my hands trembling with guilt for invading his privacy. What I found broke my heart: flirty texts between Vanessa and a man named Mark, filled with intimate plans and cryptic references to securing the future. My son's wife was cheating, and there were hints of a scheme involving me. I thought of the fake pills, my dizziness, and how Daniel and Susan had watched me take them, their faces unreadable. Were my own children trying to harm me to protect Vanessa's affair? The thought was agonizing, but the evidence was undeniable. I sat in my dark dining room, the house silent except for the soft hum of the refrigerator. Memories of Daniel and Susan as children, giggling at this very table, clashed with their recent secrecy, tearing at my heart. How could I confront them, knowing it might fracture our family forever? My home, my haven, felt like a trap. My children, the core of my life, were slipping away. Why would they betray me? Was it just to shield Vanessa's affair? Or was there more? Something tied to our family's assets, my house, my savings. I didn't have all the answers, but I knew I couldn't stay quiet. A dangerous truth was emerging, and I had to face it to protect myself. I began crafting a plan, leaning on Lorraine's keen instincts and my own resolve as a mother. The fake pills, the texts, and Carl's report were just the beginning. I needed concrete proof. Not just for me, but for Daniel and Susan, to show them the truth without destroying them entirely. My dining room, where I'd nurtured my family, had become a battlefield, and I was ready to fight for what was right, no matter how painful the cost. This wasn't just about my health. It was about saving the family I'd built from the lies threatening to tear it apart. I'd faced challenges before, from classroom chaos to personal loss, and I wasn't about to back down now. The truth was out there, waiting to be uncovered, and I was determined to find it, to hold my children accountable, and to protect the love we'd shared for so long. Thanks for joining me this far. Let us know where you're watching from today, and if you're new here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to join our growing community. This story's just getting started, and you won't want to miss what's next. Stick around, because it's about to get intense. The fake pills in my bottle were a chilling wake-up call, their lifeless fillers a silent threat from my own children. Those flirty texts between Vanessa and Mark, hinting at securing the future, weren't just proof of an affair. They suggested a plot to harm me. I couldn't let this betrayal destroy my family or my son. Daniel, who was caught in the middle. Welcome back. Everyone, I'm Dorothy Reynolds. And if you're following my story from Wisconsin, you know I'm unraveling a deception that started with tampered medication. Thanks for being here, because this is where I start digging for the truth, and it's a heavy journey. I've always been the trusting type, the one who saw family as a sanctuary. Daniel and Susan were my pride, and Vanessa, Daniel's stylish wife, seemed like a vibrant addition, at least at first. But the fake pills, their secretive whispers, and my dizzy spells, they shattered that trust, forcing me to face an unthinkable reality. I needed someone to confide in, someone who'd slice through my doubts with clarity. That's when I turned to Lorraine, my best friend of 40 years. Lorraine, 62, is a retired librarian with a mind like a steel trap and a long-standing suspicion of Vanessa's charm. She was exactly who I needed. I met Lorraine at her library, a cozy haven lined with books and the faint scent of old paper. Over coffee, I poured out everything: the pharmacist's report, the fake pills, Vanessa's texts with Mark, my children's odd behavior. My voice shook as I showed her screenshots, each word a betrayal of Daniel. Lorraine listened, her eyes narrowing, and when I finished, she leaned forward. Dorothy, this isn't just cheating. Someone swapped your pills, and it's tied to Vanessa. You need to find out what they're planning and protect yourself. Her words were a jolt, turning my fear into determination. I wasn't just a mother, I was a fighter, and I had to act. Lorraine didn't let me wallow. You're a teacher. Dorothy, you solve problems. So solve this one, she said. She was right. If Vanessa and my children were hiding something, I'd uncover it, no matter how much it hurt. I started small, keeping the fake pills in a sealed bag, storing them in a locked drawer for safety. They were evidence, and I wasn't letting them go. I also checked Daniel's phone again during a family visit, when he left it on the counter, my heart pounding with guilt. The texts with Vanessa were bolder, mentioning meetings at a bar called the Rusty Nail, a dive on the edge of town. I noted the time and place, feeling like a detective in my own life. The next evening, Lorraine and I drove to the Rusty Nail, parking across the street in her old sedan. The bar was dimly lit, with neon signs and a jukebox playing country tunes. We slipped inside, taking a booth in the shadows, my nerves frayed. Around 9, Vanessa walked in, her designer jacket out of place among the regulars. A man, presumably Mark, followed. His grin wide as he joined her at the bar. They sat close, their hands brushing, their laughter intimate. My chest tightened, the air sucked out of me. Lorraine squeezed my hand. "You okay?" she whispered. I nodded, but I wasn't. This was real, and it cut deep. I wanted to storm over, to confront them, to demand answers, but Lorraine kept me grounded. "You need proof, Dorothy, not a scene," she said. She was right. A public outburst would let Vanessa spin lies, and I needed something solid. I pulled out my phone, hands trembling, and snapped a photo. Their faces clear in the bar's glow. It was a small victory, but it was something. A piece of the puzzle. Driving home, I was silent. The image burned into my mind. "What's next?" Lorraine asked. "I keep going," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I wasn't just seeking answers, I was fighting for my family's future. Back home, I couldn't look at Vanessa without seeing her with Mark. Their laughter mocking me. She acted normal, chatting with Susan during dinners. But every gesture felt like a lie. I started noticing things. I'd missed a receipt in her purse for a motel I'd never visited, a faint cologne on her scarf that wasn't Daniel's. Each clue was a wound. But I pressed on. I checked my medicine cabinet again, finding another bottle of fake pills, as if the tampering was ongoing. My fear grew, but so did my resolve. The fake pills weren't a one-time act, they were part of a plan, and I needed to know its scope. Lorraine suggested sending the pills for independent testing, but I wasn't ready to involve outsiders yet. I hid them in my locked drawer, along with the photo and screenshots. I also watched Daniel and Susan closely, noting their growing unease. Susan's glances were nervous, Daniel's excuses flimsier, as if they sensed I was onto them. The thought of my children betraying me tore at my heart, but I couldn't stop. I had to protect myself and uncover why they turned against me, whether it was Vanessa's influence or something deeper. Thank you for sticking with me. Everyone, what do you think Dorothy should do next? Drop a comment below. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. We're diving deeper soon, and it's going to get intense. The image of Vanessa and Mark laughing at the rusty nail was a wound that refused to close, their intimacy a constant echo in my mind. Those fake pills in my bottle, devoid of the medicine I needed to survive, were a silent betrayal from my own children, Daniel and Susan. I couldn't let their actions destroy me or the family I'd spent decades nurturing. Welcome back. Everyone, I'm Dorothy Reynolds, and if you're following my story from Wisconsin, you know I'm battling a deception that began with tampered medication. Thanks for being here, because this part gets heavier, and I need you with me. I couldn't shield Susan from the truth any longer. The weight of her and Daniel's involvement was suffocating, and she deserved a chance to explain, even if it broke us both. I invited her to my house for tea, my hands trembling as I set out her favorite chamomile blend, the one she'd loved since she was a girl. When she arrived, her smile was forced, her eyes avoiding mine, as if she sensed what was coming. "How do you tell your daughter she's betrayed you?" But I had to try. "Susan, we need to talk about my pills," I said, my voice unsteady. "They're fake, and I think you and Daniel helped Vanessa. Who's cheating on him?" Susan's face paled, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Mom, that's absurd. We'd never hurt you." She shook her head, as if she could banish my words. I showed her the Pharmacist's report, the cafe photo of Vanessa and Mark, the text screenshots, and told her about my dizzy spells, worsened by the fake pills. Her expression shifted to anger, but it was directed at me. "You're paranoid. Vanessa's not perfect. But this is insane. You're trying to ruin our family." Her voice cracked, and she stormed out, slamming the door, leaving me alone in my dining room, the silence piercing. Had I pushed her away forever? Susan's denial was a knife in my heart, but it sharpened my resolve. If she needed proof, I'd find it, for her sake and mine. I began treating my home like a mystery to unravel, searching for answers with a teacher's precision. One evening, while Daniel and Vanessa were at a supposed work event, I checked their guest room, where Daniel kept a locked briefcase. Using a spare key I'd found, I opened it and discovered bank statements that froze my blood transfers from my retirement savings account to an unfamiliar account. Small sums at first, then larger ones, totaling over $30,000. My hands shook as I photographed each page, each transaction a betrayal of the trust I'd placed in my son. I called Lorraine, my voice trembling as I shared the discovery. "Dorothy, this goes beyond an affair," she said. "They're stealing from you, maybe building a life without you." Her words sent a chill through me. I searched the briefcase again, finding a life insurance policy I'd never authorized, taken out in my name, with a payout of $500,000, Daniel and Vanessa listed as beneficiaries. My heart raced as I realized the fake pills weren't a mistake. They were part of a deliberate scheme to weaken me, perhaps even kill me, for financial gain. Vanessa's affair with Mark was just the surface. They were after my money, my home, everything I'd worked for. That revelation shattered something in me, but it also ignited a fierce strength. I wasn't just a mother facing betrayal. I was a woman fighting for her life. I started keeping a detailed journal, cataloging every piece of evidence: the cafe photo, the text screenshots, the bank statements, the insurance policy, the fake pills. I hid it in a locked drawer, a fortress against their deception. I watched Daniel and Susan closely, noting their increasing carelessness. Daniel's excuses about late nights grew weaker, Susan's glances more guilty, as if they sensed I was closing in. Their audacity fueled my determination, pushing me to take action. I sent a sample of the fake pills to a lab through a contact Lorraine knew, seeking confirmation they were inert. The results arrived a week later, verifying no active ingredient, just fillers. A calculated sabotage of my health. My stomach churned, but the report was a powerful tool, undeniable proof of their intent. Lorraine urged me to confront Susan again, but I knew she wasn't ready to face the truth. I needed more. Something so clear it would force her to see reason without breaking her spirit completely. I installed a hidden camera in my dining room, where I kept my pill bottle, hoping to catch Daniel or Vanessa tampering again. Their frequent visits provided opportunities, and I was determined to be ready. Susan's rejection lingered, but I understood her loyalty to Daniel. I'd raised her to cherish family, and she wasn't ready to see her brother as a traitor. I sent her a text, apologizing for our fight and promising I'd only come to her with irrefutable proof. I hoped she'd come around before it was too late. For now, I focused on my next moves. I wasn't just gathering evidence, I was constructing a case to safeguard myself and expose Daniel and Vanessa for their actions. The children I'd raised had become strangers, swayed by Vanessa's greed, and I was prepared to confront them with every ounce of strength I had. Thank you for staying with this story. What do you think about Susan's reaction? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. We've got more to uncover, and it's going to be intense. The lab report confirming the fake pills was a cold slap of reality, proving my children's betrayal had turned my home into a battleground. Vanessa's affair with Mark, the stolen savings, and that life insurance policy weren't just personal betrayals. They were a calculated plot to weaken me, perhaps even end my life, for their financial gain. I was done being the trusting mother who overlooked the warning signs. Welcome back. Everyone, I'm Dorothy Reynolds, and if you're following my story from Wisconsin, you know I'm fighting a war sparked by tampered medication. Thanks for being here, because this is where it all explodes, and you won't want to miss this showdown. I spent days after the lab results in a storm of determination. The evidence was irrefutable: the fake pills, the cafe photo, the text screenshots, the bank transfers, the insurance policy naming Daniel and Vanessa as beneficiaries. But I refused to let them destroy me or our family's legacy. Lorraine kept pushing me to act, suggesting a private investigator to uncover more, but I needed to confront Daniel and Susan myself. I wanted to see the truth in their eyes, to save them from Vanessa's toxic influence. That's when I crafted a plan. One that would either shatter us or set us free. I decided to host a family dinner, inviting Daniel, Susan, and Vanessa to lay their lies bare before everyone. I called Susan first, my voice deliberately warm, saying I wanted to heal our rift after our painful argument. She was wary but agreed, hoping for reconciliation. Next, I contacted Daniel, framing it as a family night to celebrate his latest real estate deal, a fabrication to draw him in. Vanessa was trickier. I invited her directly, emphasizing a special announcement about my retirement plans to pique her interest. She accepted, her tone smug, oblivious to the trap I was setting. My heart pounded as I planned. Knowing this dinner would redefine our family forever, Lorraine insisted on being there, staying in the living room as backup. "You're not facing them alone," she said, and her steadfast loyalty fueled my courage. To prepare, I met Lorraine at her library, spreading my evidence across a sturdy reading table like a general preparing for battle. The photo from the rusty nail, the text screenshots, the bank statements showing stolen funds, the insurance policy, the lab report confirming the inert pills, and footage from my dining room camera, which had captured Daniel swapping my pill bottle 2 nights earlier. I organized it with the precision of a seasoned teacher, each piece a weapon in my arsenal. I also hired a private investigator through Lorraine's contacts, who confirmed Vanessa's affair with Mark through motel receipts, bar tabs, and photos of their clandestine meetings. The investigator's report added another layer of proof, solidifying my case. This wasn't just about betrayal. It was about stopping a deadly scheme before it claimed my life. The night of the dinner, my house transformed into a theater. Every detail meticulously staged. I set the table with my finest china, lit candles to cast a deceptive glow, and prepared a feast of pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, and cherry pie, creating an illusion of warmth and unity. Susan arrived first, her eyes cautious but tinged with hope for peace. Daniel and Vanessa came together. Daniel's smile strained, Vanessa's charm polished to a sheen. We sat, exchanging small talk about Daniel's property deals, Susan's accounting work, and the vibrant spring blooms, but the air was thick with unspoken tension. I watched Vanessa's practiced smile, Daniel's nervous glances, and Susan's uneasy fidgeting, my pulse racing as I waited for the perfect moment to strike. Halfway through, I raised my glass, my voice calm but resolute. "To family and truth," I said, locking eyes with Daniel, "because lies always come to light." The room fell silent, forks pausing in midair. I pulled out the cafe photo, sliding it across the table with steady hands. "Explain this," I said, my voice unwavering. Susan gasped, her hand trembling as she stared at Vanessa and Mark. Daniel's face drained of color, and Vanessa's smile froze, her eyes darting to the door. I pressed on, laying out the bank statements, the insurance policy, and the lab report confirming the fake pills. I played the dining room footage, Daniel's figure unmistakable as he tampered with my bottle. Susan's eyes filled with tears, and she turned to Daniel, her voice breaking. "How could you do this?" Vanessa stammered, claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But Daniel lunged, shouting that I'd fabricated everything, his voice thick with desperation. I stood, my voice cold as ice. "You swapped my pills, stole my savings, and planned to profit from my death to hide Vanessa's affair." Susan sobbed, covering her face with her hands, and Vanessa tried to bolt, but I blocked her path, my stance firm. "I'm done with your lies," I said. "I'm reporting this to the police, and you'll answer for everything." The room crackled with tension, their panic a stark contrast to my calm. Lorraine stepped out from the living room, her presence a silent warning. I'd turned their plot against them, and they knew it. Susan looked at me, her eyes shattered but awakening, and I knew I'd reached her, even if Daniel was too entangled in Vanessa's web to see the truth. Thank you for being here for this showdown. What would you have done at that dinner? Drop a comment and let me know. If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. The final part is coming, and it's going to be a wild ride. The dining room was a storm's wreckage. The silence piercing as Vanessa's desperate excuses faded and Susan's sobs echoed. My evidence, the cafe photo, the bank statements, the dining room footage, lay scattered on the table, exposing Vanessa's affair and my children's plot to swap my blood pressure pills with fakes. I'd turned their deception against them, and they were cornered. Welcome back. Everyone, I'm Dorothy Reynolds, and if you've followed my story from Wisconsin, you've seen me confront a betrayal that tore my family apart. Thanks for being here for the final chapter, because this is where I reclaim my life and protect what's left, and it's a triumph worth sharing. Vanessa's panic surged as Susan's tears flowed. She stood, her face contorted, pleading with Daniel. "It's all lies," she shouted, but Susan's anguish silenced her. Daniel tried to salvage his crumbling facade, his voice weak. "Mom, you've misunderstood," he said, but I cut him off. "No more lies," I said, my voice steady as stone. Lorraine stood in the living room doorway, her presence a quiet anchor. I told Vanessa to leave, and she grabbed her purse, hurling empty threats, but Daniel's broken stare pushed her out. He followed, head bowed, their defeat palpable. That night, my house felt lighter, like a dark cloud had lifted, and I knew I'd taken a crucial step. The next morning, I sat with Susan in my dining room, the same place where Daniel had tampered with my pills. Her eyes were red, but she listened as I explained everything: the fake pills, the lab report, the stolen savings, the insurance policy. "I'm so sorry." "Mom," she whispered, hugging me tightly. We cried, rebuilding our bond, and she vowed to help me. I connected her with a lawyer named Judith, a fierce advocate who reviewed my evidence: the cafe photo, the texts, the bank statements, the insurance policy, the lab report, the dining room footage, the investigator's motel receipts. "This is a strong case," Judith said. "Fraud, attempted harm, conspiracy. They'll face consequences." Susan and I worked to protect my assets, ensuring Daniel and Vanessa couldn't touch my home or savings. I took the tampering evidence to the police, my hands steady as I presented the lab report, dining room footage, and fake pills. They opened an investigation, and Daniel cracked under pressure, admitting he'd swapped the pills under Vanessa's influence, believing it would just slow you down, though he denied intent to kill. The police charged him and Vanessa with conspiracy to commit aggravated assault, a serious crime, and both were arrested, their reputations shattered in our small town. Mark, seeing their downfall, vanished, leaving Vanessa alone in her ruin. The stolen savings were recovered, and the insurance policy was voided. Dismantling their schemes, their betrayal had cost them everything, from family to freedom. Susan's pain was my deepest concern. We spent days talking, healing the wounds Daniel and Vanessa left. She apologized for her role, explaining Daniel had manipulated her with promises of protecting the family's future. "I was blind," she said, her voice steady. We rebuilt our trust, and she became my rock. I decided to sell the house, too haunted by Daniel's actions, and move to a smaller home nearby, closer to Susan. Standing in the garden as the for sale sign went up, I felt liberated, ready to shed the past. The recovered funds and my savings gave me a fresh start, a chance to redefine my life. In my new home, I found purpose. Susan introduced me to a community center, and I started a support group for women betrayed by those they loved. Sharing my story, I connected with others who'd faced their own Daniels and Vanessas, their resilience mirroring mine. I became a mentor, helping them find their strength, just as Lorraine had helped me. The group flourished, and I felt alive, turning my pain into a beacon of hope. My dining room, once a battlefield, was again a place of connection, filled with laughter and stories, a testament to what we could overcome. Daniel's betrayal was a fire that could have consumed me, but it forged me stronger. I'm Dorothy, a mother who faced lies and danger to protect her family. If you're watching and feel trapped by deceit, hear this: you have the power to rise. Trust your instincts, fight for your worth, and never let anyone dim your light. Susan and I did, and we're free. Betrayal cuts deep, but it can also be the spark that rebuilds you, tougher than before. This journey was grueling, but sharing it with you has been a gift. I've learned that family, even when broken, can be mended with truth and love. My new life, filled with Susan's support and the warmth of my support group, is proof that we can rise from the ashes. I hope my story inspires you to face your own battles, to find your own strength, and to never surrender what matters most. You're more resilient than you know, and you're never alone. Thank you for walking this path with me. Share your thoughts in the comments. What did this story stir in you? If you're new, please like and subscribe to join our community. Next week, we're diving into another tale of courage and secrets, so stay tuned. Your support means everything, and I can't wait to share more.